Okay, so here's the thing that no one wants you to know. Excellent service can save a bad meal, but an excellent meal can be ruined by bad service. We think it's time that the front of the house got the spotlight they deserve. Welcome to Dine and Dish, where the business of dining meets the art of hospitality. Welcome back, everybody, to Dine and Dish. How's it going, Michele?
It's going. It's another week. Busy.
I know we are heading as fast as could be into the holiday season, which means all the insanity is starting with Thanksgiving reservations and all of that nonsense.
Oh, I'm sure. Can you believe it's October and it's almost Halloween?
I love it. I know. Are you a Halloween person?
I am. I love Halloween.
You do? You love dressing up? You love doing the whole thing?
So I have to tell you, I love getting in costume. So the last couple years since my daughters lived in Hoboken, we've been going to the parade and all the festivities, and Halloween's always been one of my favorite holidays, but it was more about decorating the house and the steps and, for Vivi, obviously, because she's young. But now that we get involved with Alana in Hoboken, they do this amazing parade. They decorate every house. Everybody's dressed up. So for the last 2 years, I dressed up. So yes, I'm dressing up. We do the whole theme thing. We dress up the dog. Vivi gets dressed up. So this year is the disco theme.
Oh my God, I love that. Yes, a little Donna Summer. Yes, a little platform.
Oh no, I'm going as a disco ball.
Oh, that's hilarious. Of course you are. I avoid Halloween like the plague in New York, which I know is ridiculous. But I mean, the Halloween parade is very cool. And they do everybody does the big, the zombie thriller dance, which is awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
But it just gets it is very cool. But it just gets like really crazy downtown with the parade and all. So, and also I think because I started my career dancing and performing, I don't want to do it anymore. Like I don't want to put on the lashes and the thing and I'm happy to be in sweats and give out candy to everybody and their brother. I'm happy enough with that.
Do you get a lot of trick-or-treaters?
We do-ish, not a ton, but so my building and our sister building, we sort of do Halloween together. And so the kids in both buildings will use each other's building. And so, we get a good amount. And I give away way more candy than I should because I do not want it in the house, because if it is in the house, I will eat it all within one weekend.
I know.
Especially if it's like the Snickers, the little Snickers,
you like chocolate,
and you put them in the freezer.
See, I hate chocolate. I'm a vanilla person, but I love gummies. Oh my God, I'm a sugar gummy-holic.
Girl, please. Right now I have candy. I have so much candy out right now, and I don't know why, but I have candy corn, which I love. I know it's controversial. I love candy corn.
I love candy corn. Brock's is my favorite.
I know it's so controversial.
Ever.
I will only eat the Brock's. I will only eat the Brock's. They are the one and the only the best. Please and thank you. We're not sponsored by Brock's, but Brock's. If you're listening.
Brock, we love you.
Brock's, we love you. And actually, fun fact about Brock's, because I'm a food history nut, the first three, caramel in the United States started by three different companies or people, if you will. Brock's was one of them. It was Brock's. It was, I always say their name wrong. I think it's Getz down in Maryland. Actually, the caramel creams, the round caramels with the white cream? That was one of them. They make the Cowtails. That's the same company. And of course, Hershey, Milton Hershey. He actually started Hershey chocolate. Again, history fact, since we're talking about candy and Halloween, Hershey chocolate was Milton Hershey's fourth attempt at a successful candy business. The first two were in New York. They were failures. He left. He went to Pennsylvania. He started a caramel company called Lancaster Caramel Company, which he sold. It's still around. And then he started Hershey chocolate after that.
So they
Fun facts for you.
Well, actually, they did a full documentary on him. And I watched the whole show. And I mean, they talked about every candy in the top 10 that failed and ones that made it and how he came up with Hershey Town. And it was a really cool show.
Yeah. And he went through a lot. I mean,
Yeah, he
he
did.
didn't finish school. You know, he had to go to
Yeah, he
work
did.
because that's what it was back
Well,
then. And, you know, it's pretty extraordinary story. So
yeah.
if you guys see the documentary, watch it. But today,
I was
let's
going to say, we
transition.
can't talk about candy for
Yep.
30 minutes. Actually, we
Actually,
probably
I could, but we're not going to do that. Yeah, but we're not going to do that. Today, we are going to talk about something. I think it was a friend of yours, Michele, or somebody left a comment. Her name is Angie. Hi, Angie. Shout out. Wanted to know about servers specifically, like hiring servers. What do you look for? The training process, all of that. And I thought this would be a really great series for us to talk about all the positions of the front of the house and how they're important, how they blend with the other positions, front of the house and back of the house, and sort of the steps of service within all of that. So it'll be a fun little like series within the pod that we'll do. And so we'll start today with servers, but big shout out to Angie for bringing the question to us. We love all of your questions and DMs. And so let's start with servers. Having servers, they are really sort of the conductor of their station, right? So I used to have a manager that used to say to us, the servers, that your section, you are the manager of that section, and you're also sort of the conductor. You make everything happen, right? You have to be in control of everything. You have to choreograph the ebb, the flow, all of it. And so you really have to be in charge. So when we're looking to hire servers, and again, this is going to vary depending on restaurant because you're going to always look for different things. So I'm just going to try and speak in general terms. But you do want to look for people, and I know this is going to sound hilarious. First and foremost, you want to look for people that actually like people. Because I can't tell you how many people in the hospitality business don't like people. You're laughing. You know I'm telling the truth.
That's true.
Right. It is true. It's bizarre. It's like, why are you working? Why did you choose this sort of area of business to work in if you don't like people? You have to like people. That's first and foremost. But also you have to, there's a lot of soft skills that servers have. Bourdain used to actually talk about this all the time. So you have to be able to multitask, prioritize. You have to be able to deal with lots of different personalities from all over the world, all at the same time. I worked at a restaurant once where they would quadruple seat you all night long. You lived in the weeds, and you have to know how to embrace being in the weeds, embrace that chaos, and how to make sense out of the chaos and still be hospitable, do all the proper steps of service, make sure the guest has a great time, make sure you're still the liaison between the guest and the kitchen. You're making sure everything is conducting beautifully. And so you really, when you're interviewing people, you want to look for indications that they have this sort of skill set. And also for me, I will take someone without a lot of restaurant experience who's hungry over a sacred cow.
Yeah.
Yes. I cannot stand a sacred cow. I cannot stand the people that come in and go, well, look at my resume. Why wouldn't you hire me? Automatically you're done. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And so for me, I would rather take the people who are hungry. I'll tell you a quick story. I opened the original Blue Box Cafe here in New York City in Tiffany's, in their flagship. And I hired a girl to be a server because she had okay experience, but she was hungry and she really wanted to learn, and she was sweet. She was great with people, all of it. I was like, great, let's give her a go. She really struggled as a server. She really, really did. But I had a good feeling about her. And I was like, you know what? Let me try her at Expo. She's one of the best expos I've ever worked with in my life. So it's also really important for managers to really recognize where your talent lies within your team. She was really struggling as a server, but man, you put her at Expo because she was meticulous. And that meticulous nature was actually hurting her as a server because she was taking too much time at each table, where that meticulous nature needs to be done in a more efficient manner. But with Expo, it was stellar. Yeah. And so, right? So that's just little things we look for. So, but it does vary from restaurant to restaurant. It's going to be different if you work at a local mom and pop, if you do Michelin, if you do a corporate restaurant. Like I worked at a Ruth Chris Steakhouse for many years. So when you work at a corporate restaurant like that, or a Cheesecake Factory, or an Applebee's, they have very specific training that you must go through. And so, everybody looks for something different is what I'm trying to say. So when I'm about to go through a sample training protocol with you, and I'm actually going to post this on our socials for anybody who wants it when we're done. Because if you're looking to be a server, this could help you. If you're looking to find a way to train your servers, this could help you. And Michele and I want to share the wealth out there of our years of experience. And if it helps you, great, God bless.
So before we get into training, I mean, I think we should really talk about the servers truly are the soul of the restaurant, you know? And I agree with you. It's about personality because it's not always just about skill. I mean, even when I interview people, they say, oh, here's a resume, and everybody starts pushing paper. I don't need to see paper. You can tell a person's personality when you talk to them, whether it's on the phone and face to face, you know, whether they're going to connect or not connect with the guest. So obviously experience is great, but personality is better. I mean, people come, and we know that the guest comes for the food, but they stay and they return for the connection that they have with their server. And, you know, when we opened Tuscan Prime, just like you, we hired such a variety. We had some that had amazing experience, and then we had some that were just, I fell in love with their personality, and the ones with the most amazing personalities wound up being my top servers. And they were kind of kooky. I mean, I'll talk about Chris, and, you know, every time she would go to a table, she would start talking to people, and then she would like do this funny, like giggle with like this little snort. And I'd be like, Chris, people loved her. They connected with her. They loved her. They couldn't wait to, you know, just dine with her. She had so many repeat people. And what was also amazing, she was such a good storyteller. So, you know, again, servers, when they're going to the table, whether they're upselling wines or they're curating menus and going through specials, they're also telling a story. You know, it's about who they are, connecting with the guests, and then being able to pair those foods and upsell and control the tempo of the dining experience, and whether it's fast, whether it's slow, you know, keeping it possible. So there's so many amazing things that go on. But I agree with you 100%. It's not just about experience.
No, it's not. And I know that people might push back on that, and I understand, because there is the other side of the coin of that, right? So if you are working in, and we will talk about tipping on a different episode because that's a whole other animal. But if you are working in a pooled house and you have people that maybe aren't as experienced as others, right? That, of course it is. But I just want to acknowledge it now, because people might be saying, well, if it's a pooled house, and you're right, that does cause problems. If people aren't pulling their weight, but you're sharing your money equally, that is problematic. And so, but we will talk about that on another episode. But for the most part, yes, we want people who are engaged, people who like people, which is funny for the hospitality business, people who can pick up the steps of service, who can take feedback and know how to pivot instantly when something happens, because you're not always going to get along with everybody in your station. It's human nature. It's not possible, but you still have to be able to be professional and be able to know how to respond to what you receive. We used to play a game in a restaurant that I worked in. This was a Michelin star, and we would, and this was at the beginning of the night, because once the night got going, we didn't have time to even breathe. But we would watch who would walk in the door, and we could guess who, like, oh, no, they're not from New York. They're from out of town. Oh, no, they're
I think every restaurant does that.
Oh, no. Right. But the point I'm bringing up is, the reason that's important is because we are trained to read people. And by us being able to read you, we can help enhance your experience. And so we'll get to all of that later.
For sure.
But it's a great, so now let's, for fun, just talk about because Angie brought this up. She was like, how do you train servers? It's actually an excellent question that we don't get a lot. And so, you know, let's have a little chat about that. I put together a sample training protocol. Now, I'm going to do a disclaimer here because I can already hear people in our DMs. This is a generalization of training protocols based on all of the years of experience Michele and I have, right? Again, it's going to be different at a mom and pop. It's going to be different at a diner. It's going to be different at a corporate. It's going to be different at a Michelin. It's going to be different at fast service. It's going to be different everywhere. But generally speaking, this is sort of the things you will go through, right? So when you are training as a server at a restaurant, your training days can last anywhere between 4 to 6 days. It depends on the restaurant's needs, and also depends on how you're doing in the training. Like, if you're really picking it up like gangbusters, you'll be on the floor quicker than not.
It depends how many shifts,
Would you agree with
how
that?
many shifts they they pick up. So, we used to have servers that, we had some classroom training, we had tests, we had on the line. So the way and real quickly, I know you're going to go through step by step, but
no,
it's
go for it.
really important that a server is trained in every aspect, because even though they're not bartenders, they have to work service bar, or they have to do garnishes, or, they might have to jump on the line and garnish a few. I mean, so we train our servers on every aspect. I mean,
you cross train.
Of course we do. Like, even we don't call our hostesses, we used to call them concierge. So they even had to do a small shift as the concierge to know how to answer the phone, how to seat, how to go into Resi and transfer that reservation to a table, because what if they're working lunch and they have to help out at the door? So it's really important that everybody gets cross trained. But going back to what you were talking about, it takes also a smart person. So, you have to be able to multitask. You have to be able to catch things. Like you said, whether it's one day of training or they take 2 shifts and they do a 10-hour day. I mean, I used to have servers that just wanted to get on the floor and they're like, give it to me all at once. And they would pick it up. And just like you said, they could do it in 4 days versus 10 days.
So, it depends on your skill level, depends on the restaurant needs, depends on how organized the restaurant is with the training too, because it doesn't always fall on the server, right? It does also fall on the protocols. If the management team is organized and has their stuff together, that's a factor too.
We're just talking intimidate.
Exactly. Like, do they really want you there and be on the floor? Then they're going to do everything in their power, because you're going to make their lives easier, because their staff, if they're understaffed, the staff is probably like, please, can we train them like yesterday? Because I need a day off. Right. So you're 100%, all of it is super important. So let's just, for fun, just rattle this off and then we can discuss it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, new staff, so we said between 4 to 6 days, depending on the restaurant's needs, right? So day 1, the trainee just observes, and they go through a little bit of POS training, learning the table numbers, the position numbers. Day 1 is really a shadow. Like back in the day, and Michele, you might know this too, I know especially in New York, but I'm sure other places as well, before labor laws got really strict. Back in the day, your first shift, you would do a trail. You would come in your blacks, and you would trail a server for anywhere between 3 and 5 hours, unpaid. And you would see if you were fit for the restaurant and the restaurant was a fit for you. They got rid of that, as rightfully so.
I was going to say, well, minimum wage laws changed that. Now you have to get paid.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. As it should be, as it should have been all along. I mean, that's ridiculous. So, oh God, I can't tell you how many trails I've done in my life that were just like, I wanted to kill people. That's, again, a story for another day.
A nice server, though, a nice server would split the tips with whoever was helping and assisting and back serving them.
Never in New York.
Wow. Okay.
Never. Nope. That's not how it goes. They know
the routine. Cutthroat out there, aren't they?
They listen, even when I worked in Jersey, when I was in college, we never did that either. Like, it's just not, this is part of your training. This is what it is. If that's changed now, that's great. I haven't seen it. Again, I'm in New York now, so I haven't seen that. But no, that's part of the deal. You're on the clock training, so you're getting minimum wage, regular minimum wage, not tipped minimum wage. And that's your pay for being there, but you do not get any of the tips. Nope, nobody gets tipped out. I know. Wow. It's brutal. I know. Okay. So that's day 1. So day 1, you're just shadowing basically, and you're getting familiar with the tables, position numbers, and the POS. The reason that you are shadowing, it's important, even if you have experience, because I know that you might really want to like approach a guest and like top off their water or fold their napkin or whatever. Don't do it. I'm begging you, because you don't know the menu, you don't know the allergens, you don't know the routine, and it actually can compromise their experience.
Well, and
so
it always
day
happens,
1 is a shadow.
Murphy's Law. The guest is going to ask the person in question that has no idea, and it's their first day there, and the last thing you want them to say is, oh, I'm only training, it's my first day.
I actually don't think that's bad. I would rather them say, oh, I'm training, than, oh yeah, sure, we can do that for you, and we can't.
Well, but it's
that's
nice
the worst.
For the server, the main server that's taking care of the table.
The one who's training.
That's training the trainee to introduce them and let them know from the beginning, because we want to make sure that we set them up for success, because the last thing you want them to do is feel like they don't know and they're embarrassed. And, it's just a better environment if everybody communicates from the beginning. So
I agree with that. I've never seen anyone get embarrassed, but yes, I do agree. I think that when you approach a table, and also I think people who dine out, regardless of where they dine, they're savvy enough to know they see two servers approaching and one's a little bit behind the other. They know it's a trainee. Yes, it's nice to introduce them, of course, to be considerate and respectful, but like everybody's savvy enough. Okay, so that was day one. So day two, food trail with the expo or the chef. This stuff could also be a cocktail or wine training with a bartender and the beverage director. That depends on where you are. The food training, the beverage training, super important. As is with any sales job, you have to know the product you're selling. I don't care what anybody says about servers. It's a sales job. What you're doing is sales. It's what it is. Your tip is actually a commission, just like any other salesperson. You're selling a car, you get a commission. I'm selling you a steak, I get a commission. It's the same thing. So it's a sales job. So you have to know the product, and it's great that we do it pretty early on. Most places I've experienced do it pretty early on.
Well, I think it's important for them to see the food right from the start. I mean, they have to align with the menu. They have to align with the food. We used to call it chef's talk. So for our servers, they would have to work the line right next to the chef, see how all the dishes go out, see the presentation, how it's ran, how it's served. So 100%. I'm 100%.
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah. That's pretty the normal. Again, I'm trying to generalize this, but that would fall into the whole. If you're spending the night in the kitchen, you're going to be on the line the whole night, or you're going to split your time between the line and the bar. You're going to stand at service bar all night. You have to see how everything goes out, garnish and all. So I think it's super important. Number three, day number three, service training. The trainee will shadow an experienced staff member. So in this case, a server, and the staff member will report back to management about the trainee's capabilities. This is really important. It's really important for there to be communication, because though they could have wowed us in the interview process, by day three, we're letting them touch the table a little. We're letting them top off the water. We're letting them fold the net. We're letting them interact more. And you can spot right away who knows what they're doing and who doesn't, or who's on their way to knowing and just needs a little bit of polish, or the people that don't want to take any feedback. Like, you can spot all of that in day three right away, and then that feedback goes right back to management.
Agreed. Well, there's too many restaurants too. There's so many training gaps. So, having a step-by-step, whether it's POS, chef's line, I mean, it's so important for everybody to follow every step. I can't tell you how many times I've seen in restaurants, like, you're going day one, day two, day three. I can't tell you how many restaurants that we've taken over or we've been involved in where they jump all over the place. Like, okay, we're going to do this day one. We're going to do this day three. I mean, there is a method to the madness of understanding how everything progresses, so this way they learn the whole table, psychology of how we're putting everything together.
Correct. And that's why we do things in this order. Day four, service training can continue or conclude depending. The trainee should now be able to operate independently and display basic menu knowledge, allergies, etc. They'll continue to work with an experienced staff member, so they're still trailing another server. And the staff member will report back to management again about their capabilities. So each day you can see we're a little further down the path. Day five, is a reverse trail. So usually on day five, instead of the trainee shadowing a seasoned server, now the seasoned server is shadowing the trainee, and the trainee takes the station. And with coaching by that seasoned professional, because by day five, they should know the menu. That is the expectation. You know the menu, you know the bar offerings. We don't expect you to know everything, but you do have to know the specialty cocktails at bare minimum and the wines by the glass. And obviously the food with allergens. And then at the end of day five, you will do a written test on everything that comes out of that kitchen or that bar. And if you don't pass the test, then you're going to come back for a day six and do another train and test. And if you don't pass on that, then unfortunately you do not have employment with us. If you do pass on day five, congratulations. You're probably, every server is waiting for you in the back going, great, can you pick up my shift? Great, can you pick up my shift? Can you pick up my shift?
Now let me ask you a question. So, a couple of things that you didn't add that we do. We do like a whole...
Well, I'm generalizing.
Yeah. So the whole mock service, do you do a mock trial, mock service before they actually go in? And then, the whole step by step of the steps of service. So like you mentioned steps of service, but we actually do
steps of service. Right. Steps of service go into the training when you're trailing the server, the server is teaching you the steps of service. So, for example, when the guest is seated, you have to greet them within 30 seconds. So once you greet them within 30 seconds, and each restaurant has a different way that happens. Sometimes the host team will present the menu. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they will wait for the server to present the menu. I worked at a restaurant once where they would greet the table with like a little engraved brass coaster, and they would put that down for the water to hold, and that would indicate to everyone in the restaurant, the coaster's down, they've been greeted. So there's always tricks of the trade with that. And so it's the server's job to teach them the steps of service. That's all looped into that.
Okay. So
as far as mock service goes, that's really just a restaurant opening. Like we do friends and family. We don't do a mock service if the restaurant's up and running.
So we do that a little different, just because I'm such a stickler for the steps of service and how they carry the tray, and how they're approaching the table and how they're placing the order. So one of the things that we add into that, so everything you said is exactly how we train. Just in addition, we do an hour or two built into one of their days before they take their test on step by step what those steps of service are. And we actually have a ring card. We actually laminate cards, and on the ring, it's the steps of service. It's, their little cheat sheets that they would need at the table. But I'm a stickler for you need to hit every single end. And then one of the things that we added after they took their menu test, and like you said, congratulations, you passed. We require them to actually do a mock service on a manager, a GM, myself. I mean, I don't let them practice on the guest, even though you say, yes, they're being trailed by a senior. I still do that in addition. And then when they do get on the floor, they get a smaller section, and then they work up to the larger section, just because, again, the last thing I want to do as a person spending a lot of money on a dining experience, I don't want our new employees practicing on them. It's got to be more of they've passed their tests, they're great at their skill, someone's been behind them. And then of course, if they need help, we're there to help them. But it's really important that they master all of those skills, so we just add a little bit more into that training.
And that's great. And I think, again, this is generalized because everybody's going to do things a little differently. As far as people getting on the floor with a smaller section, if it's a pooled house, and as long as you're still getting a full cut of the pool, but you have a smaller section, that can run into problems.
Are there a lot of restaurants? Are the majority of restaurants in New York pooling? Wow.
Yes.
See, we don't do that in Maryland.
Yes.
I mean, I would say, there are a few out there, but it's not the norm here.
Yeah, we're primarily pooled house because we feel, whether you agree or disagree, and there's an argument on both sides, and I agree with both of them, but because they don't ever want anyone to say, oh, well, that's not my section. I can't go help them. It's a pooled house. Everybody takes care of everybody. Everybody helps everybody. I've worked in restaurants in New York. When I worked at steakhouses, they were not pooled. And there was a lot of that, so-and-so section, somebody needs help. Well, go and help them. It should be for the guest again. But when it's not a pooled house, that sometimes tends to happen. So I think if they've gone through 5 days of training and they've passed everything with flying colors, I would put them in the easier section in the restaurant, but I would not reduce their section because I don't think it's fair to the rest of the team.
They don't get the larger 5 and 6 top. You start with smaller.
Right, so they're in the deuce section maybe. Whatever, they're in the easy section. Every restaurant has an easy section. For sure. But for the most part, that's it. Now, one thing I do recommend that I think is important is that all staff members that are serving, so bartenders, barbacks, servers, runners, whatever, everybody is tip certified. Tip does not mean tips as in gratuity. It means training for the intervention procedures. So it's being able to recognize when someone's been overserved and how to handle it. And I know that may sound silly, but there is a bartender. This happened. You can Google it. In 2019, this happened. She was in Texas, and she overserved somebody, and he left, and he wound up killing 8 people in his family.
Quite frequently.
And she went to jail. the bartender went to jail because she
Well,
overserved him.
in
So
Maryland,
it's
Krista, in
important.
Maryland, if you overserve and they find the bartender guilty, it's actually a person, just like you said, she will go to jail. It's not just the restaurant. I mean, the bartender.
Yeah.
That's why we do require all of our employees to be tip or TAM certified as well.
That's great. And generally speaking, I would suggest this for all restaurants, regardless of size and who they are and where they are. I think it's a great thing because not only did she go to jail, but the restaurant lost its liquor license. So it's a big deal. If you overserve somebody, I don't care where you are, and they walk outside and they, trip, fall down and break their head open, they can sue you. They can serve the bartender. They can serve the person who gave them the alcohol. It can take away your liquor license. It can close down your restaurant. So it is important to have this training. I cannot urge this enough for every restaurant all around the country, just to make sure that you are clear and you're also clear on your laws in regards to serving alcohol. So, and there's one more little caveat I have with the serving of alcohol. And I know that this is going to be controversial.
I was going to say, you're opening a whole can of worms, sister.
I am, but you know what? This is what happens. I cannot speak for the laws all around the country. I can speak for the laws here in New York City. And in New York City, if you are over the age of 21 and you're pregnant and you ask for a drink, the response is absolutely, and you bring it to them. No questions asked. I understand that's going to be controversial. I'm not saying I agree. I'm not saying I disagree. What I'm saying is that is what the law is. It is not our job to judge how somebody else treats their body. You want a drink? You're over the age of 21. I'm bringing you a drink. And by the way, little fun fact for you, I served Gwyneth Paltrow when she was pregnant, and she drank an entire bottle of sake by herself. So Miss Healthy. So just FYI. So that's the law. I know it's going to be controversial. That's the law. We follow the law.
And how it pertains to alcohol, you only have to follow the laws. You're not there, whether you're serving or you're bartending, you are there to follow the policies, procedures, rules, and regulations. You're not there to add your own perception, your own views, your own political views, your own health views. If they are over 21 and you carded them and they order a drink, you serve them. If they are overserved, you have the right to not serve them. So, as long as you're following the rules, then you CYA, you're covering your own ass. But but it happens. I mean, people are opinionated, and that's when you get into too many issues.
Right. I know people don't love, because I've talked about this before elsewhere, and I know people get crazy about it. And it's not my job. You have to understand that when you walk into a restaurant, listen, I've worked in restaurants where Woody Allen has come in and other controversial figures, and we've had to wait on them, whatever our personal opinion or beliefs are. When you are in that restaurant, we are Switzerland. It is our job to take care of the guests. Now, if you truly have a problem with someone, like there have been people that have come in that I've had issues with, and celebrities, and I've gone to my manager and I've said, hey, I'm not going to wait on that person, Madonna. But
okay, I have to stop you there. I think we've had this conversation before. If Madonna walked in the restaurant, I would wait on Madonna. I love Madonna.
Of course you would. Let me tell you something. She was not nice.
Yeah, I've heard that though.
Before anybody gets crazy, listen. She came into my place of business. I don't want an autograph. I don't want anything from her. I want to do my job. Yeah. And in order for me to do my job, I have to talk to you. And I have to just ask you questions like, hi, may I bring you something to drink? What would you like to eat this evening? I have to ask these very simple, basic questions. And when you refuse to even look at me or acknowledge my presence as a human being and whisper something to your minion so your minion can order for you, I am not going to take care of you because I have more respect and self-esteem for myself that I'm not going to allow somebody to treat me like that. I'm going to let somebody else take care of you. And so one of my gays did it. He's like, oh, I'll take her. I'm like, great. She's all yours. Yeah. So, and she treated him the same way. So listen, everybody's got their stuff that they come in the door with. It's not, I don't take it personally, but I also didn't want to be treated that way.
That really surprises me because of, you go back and you look at her story of where she started in New York, she had some rough times and she had some people really shit on her. So it's really surprising, but I will tell you, I mean,
it is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. And I do love her, and I'm a huge fan. I'm more of a fan from a business standpoint than anything, because she's a great businesswoman. I mean, she does everything for business. But regardless, you can't treat people bad. I mean, I don't care where you come from. It's funny. I'm actually in the process of teaching my 6-year-old that right now. Doesn't matter what you have or what you can buy. We treat everybody equally. No matter where they come from, you speak, because she has one babysitter that she really doesn't like. And she always says, I don't like her. I said, doesn't matter. You're still respectful, and you need to be nice. And if you're going to be mean, you want people to be mean to you. So it's like, it's teaching that lesson now, that when people are mean to you, you get your feelings hurt. So why would you want to be mean to somebody else? So it's funny. I'm having those conversations these days.
Yeah, but it's never too young to start. Like I remember my parents, now I'm the youngest of 3. I have an older sister and an older brother. And my parents, we always went out to dinner, and our parents made us, they were very clear on instructions before we got there. We always had to use please and thank you. We always had to sit in our chair with our napkin on our lap. They made us order to the server. Like, they made us involved, and it taught us how to behave in that environment. And it's unfortunate that you don't see a lot of that these days. I wish there would be more of that, teaching the sort of manners and etiquette in places like restaurants and airports and all the things, but I digress. But yeah, it is important to start teaching people at a young age. Say please, say thank you, unless your babysitter is like treating her in a way that warrants her to be mean, then I have Vivi's back.
Actually, Vivi has said to me on numerous occasions, she's actually too nice, Mom. And I'm like, what does that even mean? I said, what if she was too mean? She's like, she's just too
so
nice.
Does she think she's too nice, so she's fake? Is that why?
I don't. She's 6. Last night she came out of her room with a fuzzy headband on her head, her face wet, and she's like, what am I going to do? I think I have a pimple. I was like, what? You are 6. You don't have pimples.
Oh, drama queen.
Drama, and
that's hilarious.
Little mind at 6, but.
All right, so I'm going to put a bow on this. I'm just going to wrap up the training portion of this. There are a couple of things that go to the steps of service, that go to the training. There are things that I believe should always be followed at any restaurant, not even just a restaurant, a retail store, anywhere where you're taking care of guests or customers, right? So there's something that I learned from Stephen Starr, and that's called the 5-foot rule. The 5-foot rule is whenever you are within 5 feet of a paying guest, you are to make eye contact and acknowledge them. Doesn't mean you have to say hello. You can just make eye contact and smile, or you can nod, or of course you can say hello, but it's making them feel seen and heard. I was in a store the other day with my friend. God, I can't remember where I was now, but I remember we walked in and we're just standing there, and they're like, it was a coffee bar. And the person behind the coffee bar they're 3 deep. Did not even once look up, make eye contact, and just go, hi, I'll be right with you. Like anything. Yeah. There was zero acknowledgement, as if they didn't acknowledge us, we would go away. And I'm like, that is really bad. It is really bad customer service. So 5 feet rule is a really, really big deal. It makes everybody feel seen, heard, welcome. And it's one of the many things that will keep people coming back for more. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So let's circle back real quick to training. So I love the fact that we talked about this, because we just talked about our last show, the good, the bad, the ugly reviews. So it makes our guests out there, not everybody understands the rigorous training that a server goes through, because a lot of people think, they're just unskilled, or they're servers.
No, that's why we're going through it.
It shows that they're going through just as much training and just as much time that somebody would go through in a corporate job. You might be training for a week in a corporate job. Well, they're training for a week in a restaurant, and they're still learning skills just like you're learning skills. So, that's where it enlightens our guests to give them a little bit of a leeway. Let's be nice, let's be respectful. And then if there's a problem, let's fix it. But, it's nice that we're talking about these things, because obviously our show is focused on front of the house, because the kitchen always steals the spotlight. I mean, every show you see. So it's nice that people are
Well,
asking
because chefs
questions.
are rock stars,
Yeah,
right?
it's nice that people are asking questions about front of the house and what goes into it and what makes a good server and what makes good training. And, it's nice to see that people out there really are focusing on hospitality and getting involved again into service. So I'm excited that we're talking more about these things.
Yeah, I think it's important because I think maybe the general public doesn't understand what the weight of responsibility on a server's shoulders. And yes, every front of the house member has a different weight of responsibility. I'm not saying they don't, and we will talk about each role down the road. But you really have to understand that the server is constantly caught in the middle. They are the middle person. They are between the liaison between the guest and the kitchen, as I said earlier. And that means they have to make both of those entities happy at all times. And I got to tell you, there are times every single server has had to walk into that kitchen with their tail between their legs and say something to the chef because they knew the chef was going to lose their freaking mind. And you just have to eat it. It's why working in the restaurant industry is so challenging mentally for everyone. But you really have to shield the guest from all the drama and insanity of the chef and the kitchen. And you really have to make their experience great. But that also means that you have to bear the brunt of it on their behalf. And they don't even know. They have no idea what's going on because we're just absorbing it. And again, we're the conductors. We're pulling all of those strings. We're making all of that happen. And the guests don't even know half of it. And they shouldn't.
Well, I'm gonna leave you with a quick story, and then I know we got to wrap it up because you and I can talk for hours. But where you said about the server being a liaison between the guest and the chef, we had a server, and I will never forget her. Tall, she was a trip and a half, but she hated the chef. And every time she had an opportunity to go in and just kind of zing him a little bit, I would have screaming matches that I would have to separate, and I'd be like, you go in your corner, you leave, and you go home, leave the chef alone. Because, obviously it's busy. He's already stressed with the amount of work and what's going on, and he's very focused on his role. A dish comes in and it's wrong. And of course she had to be like, like a little zinger on the side, and he would turn around and throw her a few words. And then she was like 6'2" and looked over him. And then, she would throw him a little word. So it is true when you say that, the server in the front of the house is definitely the shield for the guest, because they don't see what goes on. If they have to remake a meal, they have to refire a meal, something's wrong, they put the order in wrong, the abuse they get from the chef when he says, was that your fault or is it my fault? And then they check the ticket and they go to the POS. So it's definitely a hard role. So I definitely agree with you that, it's not just the training, it's the overall responsibility that, they take on.
Correct. But today we wanted to just focus on training to answer Angie's question. But yes, of course. And we can talk, we can do a part 2, a part 3, part 20. They're never going to be enough, but we just wanted to answer Angie's question. Again, thank you, Angie.
Man, Angie's
we
love when you coming up with great questions for us. We just talked 35 minutes.
Keep it coming, Angie. So again, we love getting all of your questions, your comments. Please send them to us either at the website, our DMs are open, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. And we will be back with even more fun stuff.
Hey, if anybody has a hospitality hero or a shout out or, they want us to talk about, definitely, we love it. So keep them coming.
Keep them coming. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We appreciate it. And we will see you at the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.